I asked the new Opus 5 model to build this exact dragon in Blender using the Blender MCP. I've given this same task to every model we've tested for the past 3 months on this channel, so if you don't want to miss the next one, make sure to subscribe right now. On my last video, you guys shared some prompts you want me to use, so I decided that on my upcoming Blender tests, I will be using my subscribers' prompts. If you have a prompt you want to see in these tests, make sure to drop it in the comments. While we wait for Opus 5 to finish, let's talk about the benchmarks related to this task and see if the benchmarks match the results we get. Here is what Anthropic is claiming. Opus 5 is its strongest generally available model, built for complex agentic coding and long-running tasks. It has a 1 million token context window, up to 128,000 output tokens, and thinking is on by default. The API costs $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. That is the same as Opus 4.8 and half the price of Fable 5, although Kimi K3 is still cheaper. The most relevant number here is Frontier Bench version 0.1, which tests agentic terminal coding. Anthropic reports 43.3% for Opus 5, compared with 33.7% for Fable 5, 34.4% for GPT 5.6 Sol, and 21.1% for Opus 4.8. That is 9.6 percentage points ahead of Fable and more than double Opus 4.8. On OS World 2.0, Opus scored 70.6% versus 66.1% for Fable and 62.6% for GPT. On Automation Bench, it scored 26% compared with 17.4% for Fable and 18.1% for GPT. And on ARC AGI 3, it scored 30.2% versus 7.8% for GPT and 1.5% for Opus 4.8. Anthropic also says Opus gets within 0.5% of Fable's best cursor bench score at half the cost, and one early access customer called it the best 3D work they had seen from an Opus model. It still does not win every chart. On Deep CWE version 1.1, Opus 5 scored 68.8%, slightly behind Fable at 69.7% and GPT at 72.7%. Kimi's launch table reported 67.5% for Kimi K3. None of these benchmarks grades dragon anatomy or visual quality. They are relevant because Blender MCP work requires Python, tool calls, scene inspection, debugging, and a long chain of decisions, but the same reference image and Blender workflow will tell us much more. Fable 5 completed this dragon challenge in a little under 49 minutes and was my previous winner. It created an ambitious, stylized dragon with membrane wings, horns, glowing eyes, and icy spine details. Kimi K3 took more than 3 hours and used 7 agents followed by another Polish swarm. Kimi gave me incredible detail and came closer to the reference in some areas, but the neck connection could have been cleaner and a few scales looked disconnected. It won on pure detail, but definitely not on detail per hour. Opus 5 completed the same challenge in 1 hour and 1 minute. That is longer than Fable, but roughly 2 hours faster than Kimi. The interesting part happened around minute 37. At that point, Opus had already created a really strong scene and a well-built dragon. The anatomy read clearly, and the head looked much better. If it had stopped right there, it would have finished faster than Fable, and I still would have picked it as the visual winner. But it kept working for another 24 minutes, and in my opinion, it started polishing the quality backward. The biggest regression was the head. At minute 37, it looked like a dragon. In the final version, it looks more like a gecko with horns. Anthropic's own prompting guide says Opus 5 verifies its work without being asked, can expand the scope of a task, and can waste time through over-verification. My instruction to go above and beyond probably encouraged that behavior. The model did not struggle to build the dragon. It struggled to recognize that it had already built the better one. Even with that regression, this is still my favorite final result out of Opus 5, Fable 5, and Kimi K3. The most important improvement is that I cannot find anything clearly detached from the body. In this recurring test, that might be a first. The limbs, horns, spines, wings, and body feel like one connected creature instead of impressive parts sitting near each other. The wings are especially good. They have detailed membranes, a believable shape, and even the small claw near the top of the wing that you would expect on a dragon. After a normal cleanup and rigging pass, this looks like something I could actually use inside a game. So for this exact Blender MCP challenge, Opus 5 wins my scorecard. It is not perfect. 1 hour and 1 minute is not fast, and the final head is worse than the minute 37 version. But the connected anatomy, wing detail, scene quality, and overall usability put it ahead of Fable 5 and Kimi K3 for me. The benchmark suggested that Opus 5 would be better at long, tool-heavy jobs. The dragon gives us real evidence that it is, while revealing what the chart does not show. Sometimes the best iteration is not the final iteration. Let me know what you guys think. Did Opus 5 do better than Kimi K3? In my opinion, Opus 5 took back the Blender crown. But I'm only saying that because of the small details I mentioned in my last video. Don't forget to comment a prompt you want me to use in my upcoming Blender test. And don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.